Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you're all fantastic. I'm Anthony, this is the Silver Screen Analysis, and today we have a highly anticipated Blu-ray release to talk about, that being Avengers Infinity War, coming out this Tuesday to add to your home video library. We're gonna dive into this movie and cover the collection of bonus material in this multi-screen edition, so let's dive into it. First, let's briefly cover the film itself. It blew my mind the first time I watched it. I liked it even more the second time I watched it in the theater, and then when I saw it a third time at home, I was just as riveted, finding myself just hooked in on the progression of the storyline like I didn't already know what the outcome was. I think the Russos were seamlessly able to weave many moving pieces into one very riveting narrative, and this movie needed to be climactic after 10 years of build-up, and it absolutely was. The script was able to weave multiple plot lines together with precision that were effectively able to give us that final massive collection of heroes in one film that we've never seen before. It complemented it with some of the most just large-scale action we have seen in the cinematic universe, not to forget the most intimidating, emotionally driven villain Marvel has given us in Thanos. It was absolutely climactic, it was comical at times, it was emotionally touching, it was flat-out gut-wrenching during certain scenes, and after 3 times watching, I can definitely say it's my favorite film in the MCU, delivering just beautiful filmmaking from start to finish. So those are my thoughts on this movie. I'll leave the link to my full review on it down in the description below and on the end screen. Now let's dive into the bonus material in this multi-screen edition Blu-ray. Now I definitely love collecting movies. I do prefer the digital format without question, but just some films need that physical copy with all the special features to really round out adding that special movie to your home collection. Marvel films are classic examples because each release is filled with such a large collection of added features and footage. It really provides a lot more insight into the filmmaking process for each project, from the aspect of commentaries to behind the scenes footage, as well as just storyboarding and concept art, not to mention just showing us all the different stages of CGI progression that do a great job of showing how some of our favorite comic book scenes and characters are constructed. Like the other MCU Blu-ray releases, specifically those under the Disney umbrella, each one comes with a collection of tightly edited featurettes. They're extremely well crafted and they weave seamlessly between commentary tracks and film footage, each one of them really providing a ton of information. But before we get into those, let's talk about the rest of the bonus features on this disc. First up was an introduction from the directors Anthony and Joe Russo as they give us their thoughts on just what it was like making this film and what they want this movie to represent in the MCU, as well as exploring more of the many creative mindsets that went into the filmmaking process. I thought this was very enjoyable because it was fun to watch them talk about their film, and subtly it really showcased the pride they took in how this movie turned out, as well as how much effort they put into creating it. As customary with MCU home entertainment releases, we get a short gag reel. Now, admittedly, some of them are better than others, but I definitely think this was an amusing collection of clips. We of course get the usual goofing off on set from the cast members, which I think is always effective in capturing that chemistry amongst the cast members. This segment, though, also had some really laughable moments that were just true bloopers, which to me is always more comical than just the lighthearted goofing off that these segments kind of give us most often. Next up is the collection of deleted scenes. We get 4 of them in this release, and overall I thoroughly enjoyed 2 of them, and I would have liked the footage left in the film, to be honest. One of them is a scene that opens with Nebula. She's sending this coded message to Quill, which results in some great comical banter between him and Drax that I found to be very amusing, and I thought it would have fit into the course of the storyline nicely. We get an extended scene opening with Vision and Scarlet Witch that did build some intensity for the moment, but it was nothing impactful enough to be a must-have for the final cut. There's another extension of a scene between Stark and Potts out in the park that does capture their chemistry, although I can see why it was cut for pacing. But really at the end of that scene, there's a hilarious outburst from Happy that I thought was nicely delivered by Favreau, which would have been a nice addition to the film as well. This last scene was my favorite. It was very well written. It was a back and forth between Thanos and Gamora. Despite running a few minutes long, I thought it did an effective job of capturing some of that reference substance in their relationship from past films. I thought it was very touching to see Gamora finally vent her feelings to Thanos, and I thought it was very interesting to see more insight to the mentality of Thanos. That's it for the deleted scenes. Now let's get into these 4 main featurettes. The first was called Beyond the Battle, Wakanda. This segment really dives into the concept of having Wakanda as one of the focal settings in the film. It adds a lot of insight to how Wakanda fits into the future of the MCU, as well as how it provided just a massive landscape for that third act battle sequence. I thought it was awesome to see the construction of the sequence from a technical aspect. The number of extras used to film this battle were in the thousands, and just seeing the scope of the set design and watching all the behind the scenes footage and seeing how all these moving parts were woven together into the final edit that we see on screen was impressive, and it creates an immense appreciation for just the effort and the teamwork required to pull something off with such a fantastic result. The second featurette explored the world of the film's villain. It was called Beyond the Battle, Titan. Again, I thought it was very fascinating to see the construction of Titan's landscape inside this massive soundstage and just all the green screens wrapped around it. I thought the production design was immaculate, and it was just interesting to hear the commentary from the Russos as they talked about the mythology behind their vision for just Titan overall and how they wanted it to look aesthetically. The segment had a ton of behind the scenes footage that showcased the actors rehearsing and shooting their scenes for the fight sequences. And I thought it was cool to see all the various blue and green screens throughout the studio, to see their specific positionings, to really get a much better feel for what is digital and what is practical in these CGI heavy comic book movies. The next segment was also a very intriguing one. It was called Strange Alchemy, and it was really focused on the various pairings of heroes that we see throughout the film. And I thought it was fun to hear the Russos' mindset for this angle of the movie. While you're watching, you see the various heroes clustered together or paired with one another, and you don't really think too much of it. But listening to the Russos talk more about their intentions for certain character moves was really fascinating, and it did add a lot of depth to certain scenes when I went back and watched the film again. The decisions were not random. They were often processed from outside the box and with a focus on driving the story forward, and it was subtle but very important to the film overall and building tension and just a compelling narrative. The final featurette in this Blu-ray release is definitely my favorite of all the bonus content, and it was called The Mad Titan. Now, for myself, Thanos was the biggest wild card in this movie and the most interesting dynamic in the story. He had been teased for years, and I was extremely satisfied with his impact on this movie. This vignette did an excellent job of recapping all the Thanos sightings in the MCU, as well as reiterating some of the strings that he had been pulling behind the scenes to get the story to where we are today. I thought the motion capture work that they showed of Josh Brolin was fantastic, just showing all the effort that he and the team put together and just creating a very lifelike digital character and easily the most imposing villain in the MCU so far. And that's it for the special features, guys. I highly recommend grabbing this one when it's available for purchase on the 14th. It's a great collection of content to complement a fantastic film that lived up to the monumental hype, and this one's definitely worth a purchase for your home video library. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, share it with your friends, leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when all the new videos pop up. All my social media links are going to be down in the description below. You can also visit the Silver Screen Analysis for a wide range of movie-related content, and here's some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them.